A very special award this evening. It has been established to honor a GM retiree whose work over 42 years made a significant difference in the company. On behalf of the President's Council, I'm pleased to present the first Chairman's Award to a man whose engineering experiences has ranged from automobiles to aircraft to U.S. Army tanks to medical devices. His leadership style and teamwork left an impact on everyone he worked with and on General Motors itself. He holds 46 patents in areas ranging from transmissions to aerodynamics to safety belt systems. And many of the concepts that he experimented with and advocated back in the 1960s found their way into numerous GM vehicles. The man is Frank J. Winchell, who began his General Motors career at Allison Division in 1940 and concluded it in 1982 with his retirement as Vice President in charge of the former General Motors engineering staff. His innovative spirit and enthusiasm for engineering and for our business would not be out of place today. Bob Eaton, a fellow that many of you know, and of course who used to work for us here at General Motors, but unfortunately now runs Chrysler, considered Frank a mentor and describes him as one of the most tenacious people he has ever met. Once Frank set his mind to doing something, he would never give up. And that's an attribute that any of us who have ever tried to carry an idea in a large organization can certainly admire. One legend had Frank working in 1951 as an assistant staff engineer at the former Cadillac tank plant in Cleveland, Ohio. He had responsibility for tank transmissions and turrets and to ready them for the Korean War. The tank had a turret problem, so Frank literally jumped into the tank and stayed inside for 38 hours. That's right, 38 hours figuring out what was wrong. They literally had to pull him out of the vehicle. In fact, his feet were so swollen from working the pedals, as the story goes, they had to cut his socks off. That tenacity helped mold Frank into a leader who motivated his staff by his own example. Another wonderful trait of Frank's was his ability to attract great engineers to General Motors and expand their opportunities to work on a variety of complex problems and issues, and he also gave them the tools to make a difference. An example of that effort was GM's aerodynamics laboratory at the General Motors Technical Center, the first full-size automotive wind tunnel in the United States. Frank also played a key role in GM's victory in the famous X-car trial in the early 1980s. His expert testimony and a huge simulation model of road surfaces were major factors in the outcome. Before Frank developed his model, all the instruments used for testing brake balance were put in the cars themselves. Now the instruments are on the road surface itself, as they were when in Frank's original model. So you can see Frank is a man whose legacy lives on, even though he is now enjoying his retirement. He has always been known as a sure shot. On the golf course, he's a 15 handicap and has been known to shoot his age. So you know he's a terrific golfer. On the range, he enjoys hunting, duck, and partridge, and maintains a collection of rare Parker and Remington shotguns. And he's also a terrific trout fisherman. Frank, your dedication to General Motors and your many outstanding contributions will be remembered. And I'd like you to step forward to the podium for just a moment. Frank, as a small token of all that you've done for General Motors, we have this trout from Steuben.
That's very nice.
This is one that didn't get away.
That's one I'm going to keep.
That's for sure. That's one you don't put back. And always think of us, Frank, and all that you've done for General Motors. Congratulations. Anything you'd like to say, go ahead.
To say that I'm honored would be to say absolutely nothing at all. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, Jack. My experience with GM was rewarding. I enjoyed damn near all of it. I came into GM in Allison and was interviewed by a guy by the name of Green. And he told me that they weren't hiring non-graduate engineers. I told him I had to have a job. I didn't care if it was licking envelopes or shoveling manure. He said, let me see your fist. So I doubled up my fist and let him look at it. And he said, report to plant 1 tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I started to gather up my stuff, and I finally mustered enough courage to turn around to him and say, what's the deal on the fist? He said, sissies double up their fists like this. And he says, I don't hire no sissies. Well, in the 42 years that followed, I came to believe that General Motors was no place for sissies, nor is a free market. It was a very rewarding experience, Jack, and thank you very, very much. I started at 40 cents an hour at Allison. If that guy Green were to tell me tomorrow to report at Plant 1, 8 o'clock, I'd be there.
I am delighted to be